Hi, this is Lindsay, one of the co-hosts of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Your Life Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mariah White, and I am a passionate pediatric nurse practitioner and fired up health and happiness coach here to deliver a simple message to you. This podcast is meant to provide a hope and a dream that fuels your soul to dream big and to dream bold and to inspire and empower you to live out your wildest dreams and to grab a hold onto the unwavering truth that you were made for more. What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. I hope you are having an incredible day. I hope that wherever you are in your day, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, the evening, at night when you're listening to this, I hope that you are just spending a moment in terms of gratitude and fulfillment and passion and just living your best life. Truly, it is my passion, my privilege, my honor. I'm humbled to just spend this time with you because I want you to know how incredible you are. I want you to know how amazing you are. I want you to know how much you mean to me and to the Your Life Matters podcast, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be episodes coming out every single Tuesday. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be one of the number one rated podcasts in the social media platform, business, entrepreneurial, whatever you want to call us, genre. And that is something that I'm so proud to say and know. And like you guys have heard me say before, my mission is to really get us on the map. Top 100 iTunes podcast has been a goal of mine, and I'm putting it out there and calling it into fruition because I believe that this podcast can give so much life to people. And today specifically, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I have been able to reflect on in the last several months, but also something that I have found to be helpful for me. And I always try to give you guys tangible things that you can take away, but I never give you anything that I haven't gone through myself. I feel like having self-love and confidence and growth in this life is a matter of trial and error. And for me, I have been in a place where, worry, anxiety, self-doubt, fear, frustration, anger, all of these things get built up. And the overall umbrella of all of that is suffering. And I felt like I was in this season of just absolute suffering. I was suffering as a single mom. I was suffering without sleep. I was suffering with, feeling unwanted. I was suffering with this idealistic blueprint that I had in my head of what my life was going to look like. I was suffering with the way that I wanted things to happen in, my career and in my profession and how I want to handle, patients and volume and be a mother and be a wife and a sister and a daughter and all of these things. I felt like I was just in this season of absolute suffering. I was running my business and being successful and hitting at the top of the milestone last year, and then having to realize I have to do it again because, and all of these things. And my team, my tribe was on a mission, and then people kind of dwindled down. It's just the ebbs and flows of life. But for me, I felt like I was just in this season of suffering. And I remember this feeling not too long ago of God, when is this going to end? And I remember sitting down and just being like, God, I got nothing. I literally was at the point where I could pray for Bianca, but I couldn't say anything for myself. I couldn't do anything. I would just be like, God, you already know what's on my heart. I can't talk. We're not doing this. I can't do it. And I just felt like I was just in this season of suffering of God, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Really, I went through this, and then I went through this, and I went through, my childhood, and then I went through things with my mom, and then I was in this relationship, and then it was abusive, and I was getting cheated on, and it was this, and it was that, and then I was in a marriage, and then that was abusive, and that was toxic, and then I was sitting sitting here and I'm like going through my life and all of these things that I think about, and I reflect on my life, and all the way down to, acts of homelessness, or being, on food stamps, or, being in a predicament where I couldn't pay the bills, or now I'm sitting here and now I'm a single mom and I'm sitting there like I have so much love to give and I feel so unwanted. And then I'm dealing with postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. And I just was like, God, enough's enough. When are you done? Like, when is this going to be over? I'm tired of suffering. I'm tired of being in this state of just fear and anxiety and sadness and frustration and anger. And I would always every day practice acts of gratefulness. Like every morning I start with my today journal and I would just, what are the 5 things I'm grateful for? And I would repeat that. And I would be like, Mariah, you are wanted, you are needed, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are more than enough. These are things that I would constantly tell myself to get out of this rut of feeling like I was suffering. But one thing came to mind when I realized that, yes, I'm in a state of feeling like I'm suffering, but pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. I'm going to say that again. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Pain is inevitable in the sense of there are going to be situations in your life that are painful, that are heartbreaking, that are disappointing, that make you feel like you are broken or left in pieces, or feeling like a failure, or feeling overwhelmed. And you just kind of have to fail forward. I think the biggest things in our life we fail at, and then we get better and we grow and we move forward. But pain is going to happen. Suffering, however, is a choice, because yes, the act of what's going on in your life is painful. What you are going through right now is painful, whether it's a loss of somebody, whether it's a loss of a relationship, whether it's a loss of an idea of what you had that you wanted your life to be, whether it's a loss of a job or a career or a stage in your life where you no longer have. It can be painful, but suffering is you consciously making that decision to allow that entire thing to consume you. A lot of times we get so wrapped up in this, my past defines me. My past is, makes me who I am, and all of these things. Like, no, don't get it twisted. Your past is your past, but how you chose to act and go forward with that from your past makes a difference. For example, and I think about this all the time, and I heard this recently in a podcast, there's 2 twins, right? 2 twins born pretty much at the same exact time, only minutes apart. Dad was an alcoholic. One ended up turning into an alcoholic. One turned into a CEO, Fortune 500 business owner. And when they're asked, the one that's an alcoholic was asked, why are you an alcoholic? He said, I'm an alcoholic because my dad was. And then the one who was a CEO says, how are you a CEO? Your dad was an alcoholic. Well, I'm a CEO because my dad was an alcoholic, and I don't drink because my dad was an alcoholic. 2 twins born in the same situation, minutes apart, same circumstance, saw that suffering, saw that pain, and took it a different way. So right now I'm asking you, what are you going through that is painful, that is heartbreaking, that is overwhelming you? But you're choosing to suffer in it. You're choosing to stay in a state of absolute certainty of, okay, this happened to me and I'm just going to break down and I'm not going to continue going on. Or are you going to say, yeah, this was my past. This is my present. It could be as simple as that. This is painful for me, but I'm not going to suffer. I realized this as I was going through motherhood and understanding how exhausted I was and going through postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. And I realized that I was so focused on, I'm suffering. I don't have help. She's not sleeping. I'm miserable. I just need sleep. I just need time. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't do this. I can't work my business as hard. She needs me to hold her. She needs, and I would, it brings me to tears. I would just reel over this over and over and over. And I realized that I was making my pain my suffering. Because in truth, she's the love of my life. I love when I get to rock her to sleep. I love when I get to hold her. I love waking up to her in the morning and seeing that big old smile. Does it make a difference when she sleeps? Abso-freaking-lutely, because now she sleeps through the night. And mama, let me tell you, y'all, mama's a different woman. All it was she just needed to sleep so that I could sleep. Think about it. Like, sleep-deprived people aren't good people because their body is not functioning the way that it's supposed to. So it was just a season, but I made that pain, my frustration of how my life looked as a single mom, how I portrayed myself and how I wanted to be portrayed in the blueprint of my life that I had for myself. And I felt like I failed. So I was taking that pain of what I felt and the heartbreak of everything that had happened and it became my suffering. But I remembered when I listened and I realized what was going on, I was choosing suffering. Suffering became my choice. I was choosing to stay stuck. So what right now are you choosing to stay stuck in? How did I get out of it? How did I look at it in a different light? I was quiet. And I wrote down 5 different categories of what I was grateful for. Family, friends, health, mindset, spiritual growth, home, environment. All of these things I wrote down. I wrote it down in like a little sun spiral. And I filled the page with everything that I was grateful for in each of those sections. So whether it was friendship, and I was talking about my team and my tribe and my close friends. I was talking about family. I was talking about, my mom and my dad and my sister and all her aunts and all these people that I loved, and my daughter's sister and her father, and all of these people that are so important to me, and things like that I don't always stop to be grateful for. Or my home. I love the color scheme in my house and the lighting and the way that the sun rises and I'm able to have a cup of coffee. Like, all of these things that I was just engulfed in as I was letting it flood the pages. And then I wrote down my whys as a mother, my whys in my profession, my why in my business. And then I let it sit there and I wrote down my why, and beneath it, I kept going. I got 7 layers deep. So I sat there and I said, for example, my why in working my business is I want to help inspire and empower other incredible women to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Well, why? Because I was given a second chance at life, and I want to be able to give another person a second chance. Well, why? Because I remember sitting in that closet holding my ex-husband's gun in my hand, knowing that that was the last breath I was going to take and had every intention on taking my life. Well, why? Because I didn't feel good enough, because I felt like I had so much love to give other people and nobody was seeing me. But why? Because I felt like I was never accepted by my mother, and I felt like I was never going to amount to anything no matter how hard I tried. Well, why? Because I have a hard time with rejection and abandonment. Well, why? Because I want to make sure that I build a life and a legacy for my daughter, but I have the most incredible relationship with her. But why? Because I miss having that relationship with my mother. But why? Because I want what's best for my daughter, and what's best for my daughter and for me is the freedom, the opportunity, and the life that I picture in my mind, where we can just spend time and vacation and be together, and family is everything for me because I didn't have the family that I had already pictured. You saw how I went through that? So, yeah, and guys, that was just right off. I wrote that down, but that was right off of my head and on my heart, and I shared that with you guys openly and honestly. I want you to think about why you do things. Even in my job, I was going through such a rough time in my job in the last couple of weeks, and I had to figure out, why do I love being a doc MP? And I went 7 layers, but why? But why? But why? Until I got to the part where it was like, oh, this is why I did what I did, and this is why I went to school, and this is why I worked so hard. And why did that matter? Because it put my pain in perspective, and it removed the suffering that I was embracing. When you sit and you allow the suffering to just build up, it's going to consciously make you feel overwhelmed. I think about my best friend. She was going through a lot of issues with work, and I heard her say something about this man that she was having this predicament with, and she was talking about how, he got boisterous, like very loud and aggressive, and how it made her reflect on her relationship with her father. And like in my mind, I'm like, there's a pain point for her. But we as best friends hold each other accountable, but we in this lifestyle as health and happiness coaches have made it very important, very strategic to work through our pain and our suffering. So for me, I was proud of her because I'm like, she's identified that the relationship with her father is a pain point, but she refuses to allow that to be suffering. So the way that she is as a mother with her children, with her 2 boys who are incredible, is very different than how she received love. She's giving love in a different way. So when you take your past and you look at your past and you look at things that are going on in your life, you have to realize that you are the dictator of how you're going to move forward. So yes, your past matters, but your past doesn't define you. It's not going to be your circumstance unless you allow it to be. And unless you decide to let your suffering stop, realize that it's a painful moment, but you can choose to move forward, you're never going to go and be where you want to be. I'm telling you that wholeheartedly, 100%. You are the dictator, the writer, the author, the finisher of your life. God has a plan and a purpose for you in this life. But if you continue to see your pain and suffering as something that you are staying stuck in, I want you to understand that you're choosing that. If you right now are in a predicament, in a situation in life where you are just unhappy with your job, your work, your financial situation, your friends, your family, whatever it is, I want you to understand if you feel like you're suffering, you're choosing to suffer. And I realized that when me and Bianca's father had a good sit-down conversation, and I said, there's a lot of pain and a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, and it has allowed all the other conversations to just be angry, frustrated, toxic conversations, when really what we're talking about right now has nothing to do with back then, and back then is dictating right now, and we're staying in this state of suffering, and we need to move forward. And I realized that as I said it, and I was like, man, I was dealing with a lot of pain, but pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. I'm choosing to no longer suffer. And since that moment, my life has opened up. And this is, guys, God honest truth. In the last couple of weeks, my life has dramatically changed because I believe that I am attracting the right things, the positivity, the mindset that my life is incredible, and it's incredible because of who I surround myself with and how I achieve things and how I go after things, and, pouring into myself and being present with my daughter and making sure I make time for my health and fitness. And that's what I practice with you guys on this podcast. That's what I practice on my social media. And I share that with you guys openly because I'm giving you tangible things. Write down the different areas of your life that you're grateful for. Write down your whys. In motherhood, in your career, in your job, in your business. Get 7 levels deep as to why you're doing it to refuel your passion, and then realize that whatever your pain is does not have to dictate your state of suffering, because your state of suffering is a choice. You can choose happiness. You can choose light. You can choose to get out of the darkness. You can choose growth and development and personal growth and spirituality. You can choose to be incredible and live the most incredible life. Whatever your life looks like right now that you don't like, that you feel is holding you back, I want you to know wholeheartedly that you're choosing that. And that's coming from me, who also chose that. But I made a conscious decision to stop. So friends, I love you with my whole heart. Together, let's choose happiness. And remember that pain is inevitable. It's going to happen in this life. But you do not have to suffer, because suffering is a choice. I love you guys. I hope that you practice these tangible things that I was able to help you with today and really go 7 levels deep into your why and really touch base with the beauty in this life that you have and touch into your whys and gratitude on each of the areas of your life that you have going on. And just know that above all, you are incredible and you are so worthy. And I'm so blessed and honored that I get to share another Tuesday with you on another episode of Your Life